Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Our mission, as always, is to take complex, sometimes dense sources and really break them down to find the valuable insights you can actually use.
And today we are going on a truly unique journey. It's a path that connects self-help, some very profound spiritual ideas, and surprisingly, the power of personal style.
We're focusing on this idea that the clothes you choose every morning are, in a way, the primary script for your daily performance.
Exactly. This is a deep dive into what you could call self-authorship. We're analyzing a system that treats your wardrobe not as a passive collection of fabric, but as an active tool for shaping who you are and accelerating your own growth.
Our source material for this is, well, it's ambitious and very distinct. It's chapter 13, Wear Clothes Like a Model, from the book The Legend Mind, Zero to Infinity, by the SKR, also known as Sonu Kumar.
And right from the very first page, the framing tells you you're not reading a typical style guide.
Not at all. It opens with the spiritual blessing, Jai Guru Didi.
And then it immediately sets this monumental philosophical stage by defining its core concept, which is LEGEND.
And we have to spend a moment on this acronym because it really does inform everything else in the chapter. It's quite something.
It is. So LEGEND stands for legacy.
Okay.
Even Gugu and not demons.
Legacy, even God and not demons. So what the author is saying here is that a true legacy is something that persists through, the ultimate cosmic struggle.
Precisely. When he says to pursue the path of the legend, he's asking you to build a legacy so fundamental, so powerful, that even when faced with that ultimate challenge, the battle between divinity and, chaotic forces, your legacy will not end.
Wow. Okay, so this is a quest for self-mastery on a whole other level. It's about permanence.
Profound impact and permanence. And that's reinforced by the dedication in the book, which is to my immortal guru, the Lord Shiva.
Right. The author even says in the preface he was inspired by Lord Shiva's lifestyle, and he specifically points to the zero attraction of the world.
And that phrase is the key. It immediately clues you into the kind of wisdom he's trying to share.
It's not just about looking good.
Not at all. The author's goal is to answer these big, striking questions using this incredibly interdisciplinary lens. He pulls from science, math, physics, numerology, cosmology, you name it.
All to understand mind power through a wisdom or enlightened process.
Exactly. So when he talks about detachment, that zero attraction of the world, it's not about becoming a recluse. It's about building such a strong inner reality, such a powerful internal world that the fleeting materialistic things outside just lose their grip on you.
And that philosophy becomes the bedrock for all the style advice that follows.
It has to. It's what turns a chapter on getting dressed into really a guide for mastering your own life.
So our specific focus today, Chapter 13, it's located in Unit 1 of the book, which is titled 10 Shades of the Legend.
And Unit 1 is the foundation for how a person actually achieves this legend status. The author explores 10 different archetypes or professions, the monk, the politician, so on.
And the goal isn't to become a politician or a monk.
No, the goal is to pick the central activity from these diverse roles and sort of weave them into your own life path.
So the legend is someone who's trying to master multiple professions in a single lifetime. They must treat time itself with a kind of reverence.
Yes, the author calls time another form of supreme guru. So if time is the ultimate teacher, then every minute, including the minutes you spend in front of your closet, has to be intentional.
You can't afford to be sloppy in any area if you're aiming for a legacy that big, especially not in how you present yourself to the world.
And that brings us directly to the title of our chapter, which is really the wardrobe script for this entire philosophy, Wear Clothes Like a Model.
Okay, so when you first hear that phrase, wear clothes like a model, my mind immediately goes to high fashion, avant-garde runway stuff, maybe impossibly expensive street style.
Intimidating. Right.
Totally. It feels completely separate from the daily life of our listener, the learner, who is probably getting ready for a big meeting or trying to focus on some complex work.
And that's the very first and most important pivot the author makes. He clarifies right away that this is not about copying high fashion looks.
So it's not about the surface.
It's the philosophical core. If the legend is aiming for detachment from worldly attraction, then chasing fleeting trends is completely counterproductive. It's the opposite of the goal.
Okay, so if it's not the clothes themselves, then what exactly is this model mindset?
It's about adopting the internal discipline, the mental clarity that models, especially models when they're off duty, tend to show.
Ah, okay. The off-duty look.
Right. The text points out that models are actually trained to connect their clothing choices to three very powerful things: perception, energy, and confidence.
So they're not treating their appearance as just decoration.
No, they're treating it as a deliberate mechanism of influence, a tool.
Let's frame this in the way our listener asked, in a movie-style way. The legend is the protagonist of their own epic story. And a great protagonist never, ever wears a costume by accident. Every single choice, every stitch is part of their character arc.
Precisely. If we are the authors of our own lives, which is what self-authorship is all about, then fashion is the tool we use to signal our current internal state and, just as importantly, our future intentions.
So it turns getting dressed from a chore, which it is for a lot of people,
into a strategic daily moment of scripting your character. The author calls it a tool for personal growth, self-expression, and empowerment.
That shift in perspective is incredibly powerful. It means the choices you make in your closet aren't passive anymore. They're active. They're almost cognitive decisions.
They are, and this entire philosophy is built on 5 core principles that are designed to take you step by step from an abstract idea of your identity to a concrete, empowering way of dressing.
And that movement, from the philosophical to the very practical, is the method of the legend. So let's start where the author does, with the most abstract and personal piece, defining the character.
Principle
I. Understand your identity and goals. This seems so obvious on the surface, but the author really implies that most of us just skip this step. We choose clothes based on what's clean or what's trendy instead of what's true.
Right, and he clearly states why it matters. You have to know who you are and who you want to become before you even pick a shirt. If you choose your outfit before you define your identity, you risk becoming a parody. You're wearing a costume that just doesn't fit the script.
And the clothing then becomes this nonverbal language that's broadcasting your values and your intentions before you've said a single word.
It's the first paragraph of your biography that everyone around you reads instantly.
Wow. Okay, so to master this nonverbal language, the chapter requires some pretty intense self-reflection. It gives us 3 mandatory questions to ask ourselves.
And we really need to break these down because the challenge is in the honesty they require.
The first one is purely internal. What are my core values? So I might say I value creativity or discipline or maybe authenticity.
But then the real work starts. How do you translate an abstract value like discipline into a piece of clothing?
Right.
Well, if your core value is discipline, your clothing has to reflect order, structure, a lack of visual noise. So you might choose tailored pieces, clean lines, a very intentional color palette.
That's the practice of congruence.
Exactly. Making the external match the internal commitment. It's a daily, visible reminder of your own discipline.
Okay, so the second question pushes that value outward. How do I want others to perceive me? This is about controlling the narrative of you.
Do you need to be seen as authoritative today for a negotiation?
Right.
Or innovative for a pitch? Or maybe more approachable and accessible for mentoring a new team member?
The challenge there, though, is avoiding hypocrisy, isn't it? If I dress to look authoritative, but my core value is actually, say, laziness.
The clothes will feel like a lie. They'll create that wardrobe dissonance we're going to talk about. The self-reflection has to be brutally honest. If you are stepping into the role of the legend, you have to actually embody the values you're trying to project.
And the third question is the dynamic one, the one that changes day to day. What version of myself am I stepping into today?
Are you the focused professional? The relaxed friend? The bold creator? This is your daily calibration. It's how you respect the supreme guru, time, by optimizing your presence for whatever task is at hand.
It's moment-to-moment scripting.
Right. If today is about deep creative work, the legend doesn't put on a restrictive corporate suit. They might choose something with more flow, more comfort, maybe an artistic touch to signal to their own brain that the normal rules are suspended.
The source is great at giving these really clear correlative examples. For professionalism and clarity, it suggests a crisp white shirt and tailored trousers. It's like visual algebra.
And on the other hand, if you need to be calm and grounded, maybe for a difficult conversation, you lean into earthy tones and flowing fabrics. The clothing becomes a sort of environmental buffer against stress.
And for creativity and fearlessness. Bold colors, unexpected textures.
The big takeaway from this whole section, the idea of congruence, is the most important part. When your clothes reflect your inner truth, your confidence and alignment just skyrocket. You feel less like you're pretending and more like you're simply embodying who you are.
And that's the first big step away from the attraction of the world. You're dressing for your internal commitment, not for external approval.
Which brings us to principle 2.
Right. Develop your personal style. So once that internal blueprint is clear, how do we translate it into a sustainable external look?
The first warning the author gives is critical. Inspiration is not imitation. This is where so many people go wrong. They see a look they like, they copy it, but because they haven't done the internal work, it just feels awkward,
A little bit
inauthentic.
like they're in someone else's clothes.
Exactly. So the author says to broaden your search for inspiration, look beyond just models. Study artists, entrepreneurs, historical figures, even fictional characters.
You're analyzing their character, their essence, not just their jacket.
Yes. The deep work is asking, what specifically draws me to their look? Is it their use of monochrome, the way they layer? Is it how they mix vintage and modern pieces? It's not about saying, I want that coat.
It's about saying, I want the intentionality that's conveyed by that coat.
Precisely. And the practical output of all this analysis is to create a mood board, whether it's digital or physical. This forces you to distill your own aesthetic. You define your color palettes, your preferred silhouettes, the textures that feel authentic to you.
It's like writing the visual rulebook for your character, for the legend.
And this leads to a really crucial behavioral filter, a rule for buying things that truly embodies the legend's philosophy of discipline.
The hell yeah rule.
Right, often attributed to Derek Sivers, but it's leveraged here for intentional consumerism.
And the rule is so simple. You only buy an item if your immediate gut reaction is, hell yeah.
Anything else, a maybe, and it's on sale, is an immediate no. You just walk away.
This feels like a powerful practice of self-respect. It's directly linked to that idea of zero attraction of the world.
Yeah.
You're detaching from that endless cycle of impulse buying.
You're reserving your energy, your time, your resources only for things that actively reinforce the legend you were trying to build.
But I have to push back on that for a second. For the learner, the hell yeah rule.
Yeah.
That sounds expensive
Yeah.
and maybe time-consuming. If I only buy things that completely thrill me, won't my closet be empty? Or my credit card maxed out?
It's a fair question, but the philosophy counters it by focusing on quality over quantity, which we get to in Principle 3. If you're only buying hell yeah items, you buy far, far fewer things. All those regret purchases, the impulse buys that just sit in your closet with the tags on, they're eliminated. So in the long run, you actually save time and money because you're investing in fewer, more potent pieces that truly serve your identity.
And it combats that feeling of wardrobe dissonance.
That paralyzing feeling, yes. A full closet, but you feel like you have absolutely nothing to wear because nothing in there is a hell yeah.
So it's an investment in decisiveness. And that rule logically leads to the next step, the wardrobe audit.
A regular, and the author implies ruthless, assessment of what's already in your closet.
Huh?
This is a practice in letting go of the past self that the current legend has moved beyond.
And there are 3 critical questions for this audit. First, does this item reflect who I am now? Which requires some humility, right?
Yes.
You might have loved who you were 5 years ago, but if that clothing doesn't align with your goals today, it has to go.
The second question, does it support the life I'm building? If you're building a legacy that requires you to be an authority, to speak in front of people, then maybe those ultra-casual clothes from a different phase of your life are just a distraction. They don't support the script.
And the final test, the ultimate one, would I wear it with pride in public?
If you hesitate, if you feel like you'd have to explain it or apologize for it, it fails. It diminishes your presence.
And the result of all this curation, all this ruthless editing,
Is that you reduce decision fatigue. When every single item in your closet is a hell yeah and aligns with your legend identity, choosing what to wear takes almost no mental energy. And that frees up your mind to focus on the truly great work that the author talks about in the preface.
Okay, so that brings us to the next 2 principles, which feel like a shift from the abstract world of identity into more concrete technical execution.
Exactly. Principle 3 is focus on fit, comfort, and quality. This is where the discipline of the model mindset becomes physical.
Fit is non-negotiable.
Absolutely. The author is insistent on this. A perfect fit instantly elevates even the simplest garment. Ill-fitting clothes, too tight, too baggy, wrong length, they're like visual static. They distract from your presence and they signal a lack of attention to detail.
Which is the opposite of the legend's commitment to mastery.
It's like trying to listen to an important speech while there's feedback screeching from the microphone. The noise just overtakes the signal.
So what are the practical steps here?
The chapter says the legend must, 1, get key pieces tailored. A blazer, a good coat, trousers, they have to fit perfectly. Tailoring isn't a luxury in this system. It's an investment in your professional armor.
And two, you need to learn your measurements and understand your own body shape.
Right. That self-knowledge prevents you from making bad purchases in the first place. And third, you have to prioritize proportion.
Good style is just good physics.
Often, yes. Balancing a loose top with a fitted bottom, or the other way around, creates a visual harmony that makes the whole outfit look deliberate, not accidental. It gives a sense of visual structure that mirrors the internal structure of the legend's mind.
Okay, what about comfort? The author links comfort directly to confidence.
And it makes perfect sense. If the legend is focused on these monumental goals, they cannot be distracted by physical discomfort.
But the author says it's not just physical comfort, it's emotional too.
Yes. If you're constantly fidgeting with a tight collar or pulling down a hem, your mind is being diverted from its core mission. And the emotional side is about feeling authentic. You shouldn't feel like you're playing a role that isn't yours. When you're genuinely comfortable, you have the mental freedom you need for peak performance.
Which leads right into the final point here. Invest in timeless quality.
This is the physical manifestation of that anti-consumerist philosophy. We're talking about a capsule mindset. Fewer, better pieces that all work together effortlessly.
And the focus areas are really specific. Natural fabrics, for one.
Cotton, wool, linen, silk. They breathe, they feel better against your skin, and they age gracefully. They develop character instead of just degrading like synthetics do, which, again, reflects the legend's focus on permanence.
Then there's the color palette. Neutral basics.
Black, white, navy, beige, gray. They form the foundation. They're reliable, they're professional, and they don't compete with your presence.
And finally, classic silhouettes. The trench coat, the straight-leg jean, the simple sweater. Things that don't go out of style.
The synthesis is so clear. Quality reduces the mental load of constantly shopping and replacing things, which allows the legend to focus on building their legacy.
And that focus on a clean foundation leads us perfectly into Principle 4. The Model Scout approach. Simple and clean. This is that off-duty model look we talked about. The black turtleneck, the great-fitting jeans. The look itself isn't necessarily expensive, but the intentionality behind it is priceless.
This is the blank canvas philosophy. The reason simplicity is so powerful is that it lets the person be the focus, not the clothes. If the goal is self-authorship, you want the audience to see the legend's character, not some distracting shirt.
The clothing becomes the quiet, reliable backdrop.
Against which the protagonist can really shine.
But again, we have to be clear. Simple does not mean boring, or cheap, or sloppy.
No, it means disciplined.
What does that discipline look like in practice?
Well, first, it means eliminating visual noise. That's cutting out the excessive branding, the loud logos, the overwhelming patterns that clash. Noise competes for attention, and it dilutes the legend's message of clarity and self-control.
And instead of that noise, you get focused emphasis.
Exactly. You let one or two intentional details shine. If your whole outfit is a clean, monochromatic base, then a unique structured bag or a single piece of interesting jewelry becomes the focal point. It's like visual punctuation. It amplifies who you are.
The third element is creating cohesion through color harmony and clean lines.
When all the pieces work together in a structured way, the outfit projects preparation, certainty.
And this all reinforces the main directive. Intention over trends. You have to constantly ask yourself, does this serve my identity? Does it enhance my energy?
And if the answer is anything less than a firm yes, the item is just filler. It's something worn out of habit or convenience, which is beneath the legend's commitment to mastery.
The reward for all this strict minimalism is confidence through clarity. When an outfit is simple, when it fits perfectly, when it's intentional, there's no second guessing.
And that certainty, that lack of mental friction, it translates directly into poised body language, into presence. Those are the defining traits of both models and truly self-authored individuals. The legend projects an unshakable internal conviction.
So we arrive at the final principle, Principle V. And this one seems to address the crucial last details, while also introducing this deep psychological mechanism that's been humming under the surface the whole time.
Right. Principle V is finishing touches, accessories, and energy.
If the quality basics are the foundation of the house,
Then the author calls accessories the personality amplifiers. They're the small things that carry massive symbolic weight. They let the legend fine-tune the character they're playing on any given day.
and the examples in the chapter are perfect blueprints for this kind of intentional messaging.
What story are you trying to tell? A vintage watch tells a story of timelessness, of respect for craft and history. Those are values aligned with an enduring legacy.
whereas chunky boots might project a more rebellious edge, signaling innovative thinking or a willingness to, challenge the status quo.
And delicate gold jewelry can convey a quiet, understood elegance. It suggests a confidence that doesn't need to shout for attention.
But the rule is always the same. It has to feel authentic, not just on trend. An accessory that feels borrowed will completely undermine the confidence you've so carefully built with the foundation.
And this is the perfect moment to introduce the concept that provides the scientific backbone for this whole model mindset, the psychological anchor that's cited in the source.
Enclothed cognition.
Yes, this is where the physical act of getting dressed merges completely with neuroscience.
So this is a real studied psychological phenomenon.
No, absolutely. The term comes from a 2012 study by Adam and Galinsky. And what it suggests is that clothing doesn't just change how other people see us, it literally changes how we think and perform.
How does that work?
Well, it requires two things. First, the symbolic meaning we associate with a piece of clothing, and second, the physical experience of actually wearing it.
Okay.
So if you believe that a sharp blazer symbolizes power, then actually putting on that blazer doesn't just feel different physically, it cues your brain to adopt a mental state that's aligned with that symbolic meaning of power.
Wow. The source gives some clear examples of this.
Good. In the study, subjects who wore a lab coat, which symbolizes attention to detail, carefulness, they actually demonstrated improved attention spans on cognitive tests.
And those who wore formal business attire.
Showed a boost in abstract thinking. It helped them process big picture strategic problems more effectively.
So this elevates clothing from just being a covering to being a cognitive tool.
A cognitive tool. That's exactly it. The legend can actively engineer their required mental state. If you're facing a tough negotiation and you need to feel powerful, you choose something structured, with clean lines.
Or if you need a creative breakthrough, you might add an accessory that symbolizes unbounded thinking or curiosity.
You're not just dressing for others anymore. You are self-programming for success. You're using physical reality to influence your internal reality. It's the ultimate example of mind power.
The final aspect of this principle is time, care, and ownership. The author warns that all of this intentional work can be completely undermined if you just rush through the process.
If you treat your clothing carelessly, you are, by extension, treating your legend status carelessly.
So you have to give yourself the time.
You have to. Time to choose with care, reflecting on the day's goals. Time to put the clothes on mindfully, with reverence, not while you're distracted by your phone.
And time to check your posture and expression in the mirror. To confirm the character is ready for the scene.
That mirror check is the pre-show rehearsal. It's the final confirmation of congruence. And the ultimate model-like trait, the source says, is that feeling of absolute belonging. To walk like you mean it. Shine like you belong.
That's the outward projection of that deep internal certainty that you have perfectly engineered your presence for the role you need to play today.
That certainty is the most valuable commodity we've talked about. That unshakable belief that you are exactly where you should be, doing what you should be doing, and dressed exactly how you should be dressed.
So as we bring this all together, the chapter's conclusion synthesizes all 5 principles under one banner: self-authorship.
This whole system, this entire process, is about making your external environment, your wardrobe, reflect and reinforce the internal growth trajectory that you, the legend, have chosen.
It creates this powerful, self-sustaining system.
A virtuous feedback loop. You start with a clearly defined identity. That leads to intentional clothing choices. Those choices result in increased confidence. That confidence empowers you to take effective action.
And that action, in turn, strengthens your original identity. The legend is just perpetually refining itself through this cycle.
And by applying this model mindset, getting dressed is transformed from a superficial act into what the author calls a daily act of self-respect.
Which he says is the true essence of modeling your best life.
And to anchor this whole practical guide back into the lofty philosophical framework of the legend mind, the author ends the chapter with his unique and very complex definition of FASHION.
Right. This is the ultimate synthesis. Let's break down this acronym.
F is for first as legend, after show,
As I.
S introduced,
And then.
nature as earth.
So, fashion is, it's legend first, then after this show, known as fashion, is introduced on Earth as nature for all humans.
He completely inverts the conventional view of fashion.
It's not about external trends dictating what you should do.
No, it means the internal philosophy of the legend, the mastery, the discipline, the self-awareness, the rejection of worldly attraction. All of that has to be established first.
And only after that deep inner work is complete.
Does the resulting external expression, the show we call fashion, become manifest. It's introduced to the world as an inevitable, almost natural consequence of that self-mastery.
So the confidence and style you see on the outside.
It's just the residue of profound inner work.
This deep dive, then, was never really about the clothes at all.
It was a comprehensive mental toolkit for projecting your identity, for reinforcing discipline, and for using physical choices, these cognitive tools of style, to influence your internal state and drive you toward your highest goals.
The model mindset is the legend's commitment to congruence, just ensuring the character's costume always matches the script.
And this approach gives you, the learner, the power of transformation in your own hands, just by stepping into your closet with a little more intention.
So, as you think about this process and maybe prepare your own script for tomorrow, here is a final provocative thought for you to carry forward. If every garment you own is indeed a cognitive tool, what specific piece of clothing or accessory sitting in your closet right now can you choose tomorrow to immediately boost the single mental state, whether it's focus or creativity or authority that you need most to succeed?
Treat your wardrobe as the armory of a legend. Choose your tools wisely.
Thank you for joining us for the deep dive. We look forward to exploring the next facet of knowledge with you soon.